Hey everybody, my name's Adam, good friend of Joe's. He asked me to do some aluminum videos for him for welding, and I'm more than happy to help him out. Joe's a great guy. I started welding it was about 2011. I started my welding adventure. I love aluminum. It's great to machine. It's really fun to weld. It's tricky, but it's not as bad as people think, and that's the biggest misconception with welding. Is everyone seems to think that it's really difficult, and in the reality of it, anything is difficult if you don't know what you're doing. And with this, just like regular welding and steel, it's practice. And if you don't practice your welding, if you don't have your hood time, you're not going to get good at it, and it's going to be extremely frustrating. I practiced in my garage every single night when I started aluminum until I was really comfortable with it, comfortable enough to actually start looking out to get a job doing aluminum welding. And then just sheer luck, I applied at a company, and I've never looked back. There's a lot of variables. When you're doing aluminum. You gotta make sure it's clean. I mean, that's key. Cleanliness is key to welding aluminum. And your gases, making sure you have great gas coverage. So if you're trying to learn how to weld aluminum, just go for it. It's practice. It's not as hard as you think. And once it clicks, you'll be amazed that you actually considered it as hard as you thought. And the key word is thought it was, because it's really not that bad. Alright, so we're just gonna weld these two together here. Something like this I would normally put a little chamfer on, but just for demonstration, I'm just gonna rock it. And we are set at 199 amps on the machine. I like to set myself high, that way I have extra room if I need it. And we are using the pink tungsten. I'm used to purple. It's the first time I've actually used pink, and I kind of like it. We had used the blue not too long ago, and that balled up. With inverter machines, it's good to have but check with your machine specifications. But the tapered edge, I think, breaks through the oxide layer a little easier than the ball does. So, all right, let's get going. We'll tack there, tack here. As soon as it starts to sink, I like to move forward. And I left the crater. But not the end of the world. Just practice. There you go. Yeah, no crater. Could have done better. But that's what you always try and do, is strive to do better. And aluminum is all practice time. It's hood time. Everyone says aluminum's so hard, so hard. Once you get it down and you practice, it's actually not that bad. It's actually one of my favorite materials to use. It's great for welding. The machine, I love machining aluminum. It's fun stuff. I hate working with steel, and I'm glad that 99% of my work is all in aluminum. Do a little top. See how we can do. Try it again. Didn't clean that very well. Nice little edge. Try it again. Didn't clean that very well. Nice little edge. Alright, now we're going to do some what went wrong. So, some of the big problems with TIG welding aluminum are not clean enough. So, you see, shiny, clean. I obviously cleaned it prior. Here we have some dirty. So, a lot of people think, okay, steel, you can get a little bit away with it. You know, aluminum, you can't. If you want a good, solid, clean, strong aluminum weld, it has to be clean. That is so important. It cannot be stressed enough. One of the biggest issues when you're learning are dipping your tungsten into the weld pool, and also is not having your material clean enough. Your oxide level on top of the aluminum needs to be removed because obviously it melts at a much higher temperature than the aluminum does. That's why as soon as you bust through the oxide and the aluminum gets extra hot, it starts to droop down. So right now, let's take a piece of dirty. Actually, we're going to take the dirtiest of them all. We're going to show an example. All right, I'm going to try and do this backwards here. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. But all right, let's try and weld with all this gunk. You know, we're at 330 seconds filler and pink multi-mix tungsten. Here, and it is the pink flavor. I used purple. This is the first time I've used pink, and it's actually pretty comparable. It's not too bad. So okay, let's weld. Dirty material.
Look at all that black stuff right off the bat. And you can see all the flecks of pepper, we can call it, floating around in your junk pile. Right there.
I like to call it. It's a junk pile just floating on top of that aluminum. And it ain't good. Creates a weak weld, and it's just not good. So you always want to clean. So now here's the dirty, and we'll come over. We've got our clean metal right here. There's a little clean section there. It's not the cleanest, but it'll work. And you'll see this other one, when we first started up, it came instantly black across the edges because the cleaning action was trying to get all that away, and it just wasn't enough. We could add more cleaning action, but really, if you're gonna weld with something that dirty, you're gonna have a hard time, and you are not gonna like it, especially with aluminum. So now, let's see if we get that same black crud and carbon buildup on a clean piece.
see any. Nice shiny pedal. There's no junk floating around in the top. Nice and smooth. Cover that out. You don't get a crater.
And huge difference, just in cleanliness. You know, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the cleaning action and turn it down even lower to show you what happens when you have even less cleaning action on your AC cycle. And it's going to make things even worse. Give me 1 second. When you slow down on the pedal, when you just let go of the pedal instantly, you're going to get a crater. As the aluminum's cooling, it cools extremely fast and it creates that crater. When you taper off the pedal, it helps the cooling down slower, and it doesn't create the crater. All right, so here we have the welder set up with basically almost no cleaning action. So it's not gonna, it's gonna have a really hard time breaking over that oxide layer and through all this extra gunk. And honestly, if you're gonna try and weld something that looks like this, you're not gonna have a good time. So this is with no cleaning action, or as what's called on the welder, your balance control. Now look at that. And you can see the tungsten, I don't know if you can see it, it's starting to ball up because the tungsten is getting so hot. And it's not breaking through the oxide layer. So that cleaning action really helps break through that oxide layer, help get down to that nice aluminum. And as you can see, look how the tungsten balled up. So now we're going to be at the opposite end of the spectrum, and we have the balance set all the way up to as high as this machine goes, which I think it was 90% balance. And you know, flip this over and let's see what happens.
Ooh. Look at that. Can't weld like that, can you?
Your balance controls are extremely important, and it's something that people have a hard time understanding. But it's something you just got to play with, do your research. And now I'm going to go set the machine to the proper balance that I found to be good for the situation we're doing now. Because everything you do is going to be different. Getting material thicknesses, and different kinds of materials, how dirty they are, if it's cast, if it's got a bunch of gunk in it. Sometimes you can't help. The aluminum might have some oil in it. All we're doing here is hitting with the Scotch-Brite, getting that gunk off, and the Scotch-Brite also helps get the start breaking up that oxide layer. And you know, oxide layers can be varying thicknesses too. A 60-61 piece of aluminum, fresh off the from the factory, is going to have a different kind of oxide layer than say a boat prop in the water. You're going to have a higher oxide level on the boat prop just because of the nature of its environment. So there's so many factors when it comes to aluminum. But now that's cleaned up, and hit it with some acetone, and then we'll see how it does on that same piece. All right, so now it's all cleaned off. I got my tungsten resharpened. Let's see how it does.
You got a little bit of black, not bad. I might not have the setting right where I had it before. It turned away. The cleaning action took care of it. And you can see the difference. Same here. I'm going to leave the balance and everything set. Not clean. You had trouble breaking that oxide layer. You see it really working to clean that oxide layer off. And you can see with all the sugaring on the side. Now, we're just going to Scotch-Brite that oxide and that gunk off right here. It's not going to be perfect. And if this was for a project, I'd be going crazy with prep. Prep is key. And it comes down to welding aluminum. You want really good prep. I'm not even going to wipe this with acetone. Let's see what happens.
You kill the gas, and that is what happens when you run out of gas, which will be our next topic. So gas coverage is extremely important when you're welding, in any welding, you know, unless you're stick welding, but then you have the flux. So basically, the gas is creating a shield, an atmospheric shield around your weld pool, and it is creating any impurities from your oxygen that is coming in and causing the impurities. So when you don't have proper gas coverage, you're gonna get crappy welds. You're just gonna have a hard time, just like if it's not clean. It's along the same lines if you don't have proper gas coverage. So what I'm going to do is do a couple things to make it simulate improper gas coverage. And it could be something as simple as a fan or a heater or anything that blows you know, air. Any air movement could easily blow your shielding gas away, and then you're going to have issues. Another issue would be if you don't have your torch sealed and closed properly. So especially in this area right here. So let's simulate a bad gas leak there. So we're going to loosen this a little bit. Okay, so we're not tight there, which sometimes happens. You're using it, you move it around, it loosens up sometimes. It's just one of those things. Okay, so now we're a little loose, and we're going to see what we have with bad gas coverage. That one didn't do too bad. Must not be big enough leak. Let's loosen this a little more. Actually, we're just going to shut the gas off. That's going to be the best way to show you what happens when you don't have proper gas.
So I've shut the tank off, so there is still some gas, some straight argon in the lines. So we're gonna start, and it's gonna have argon, and you'll be able to tell as soon as it runs out of argon. Alright, let's get another piece here. You'll be able to tell right off the bat as soon as we lose our argon. Ready? There it is. What has happened? Well, we ran out of argon. You know, that's a little on the extreme case because I turned the bottle off itself, but if you have a big wind coming through, you're blowing that shielding gas away, you know, you're gonna have a hard time welding. So, you get a lot of this weird coating on it, and there's no gas. It's so hot, and it just, yeah, nasty. And that, as you can see, what it looks like in your cup. And it gets all that nasty stuff in there, and you really got to get in there and clean some of that out, or change your cup. But it also depends what you're doing. If it's nothing major, clean your tungsten up, turn your gas back on, figure out where your leak is or whatnot, and you'll be good to go. Great night out there, everybody. Be safe and keep practicing welding.